I'm King Link, and it's that spooky time of the year, so that means it's time for the Humble Choice October 2023 review. I normally wouldn't point out that it's the Halloween month, but this month's selection seems to be a bit themed. However, we'll talk about that at the end. As always, we have 8 titles to talk about in an interesting mix. I've played them on stream, and now I'm ready to tell you about them and let you know if you should check them out. Let's get started with the game already on screen.
No, we know. But we figured we'd get in early and scope it out, they know we're coming. We called ahead.
And to be honest, sir, one of us kind of oversold their navigation skills and got us completely lost.
The Quarry, a slasher movie that's also a game. Supermassive Games is a studio that's been in Humble before with Dark Pictures Anthology, which, don't worry, we'll talk about in 2 minutes. The Quarry is a spiritual successor to their biggest game, Until Dawn. This screams slasher movie, and while I always say I'm a scaredy cat for horror, this is great. There's so much atmospheric pressure in this title, amazing use of lighting, a few moments where the game really actually had me on edge, or just wondering what I had just seen. I was enthralled with this rather than scared or bored. That being said, this is still a supermassive game, and by that I mean it's a game where players are going to be making choices rather than directly playing the game. QTEs rear their ugly head, and passing or failing them can change the story. Some of the writing is a little cornball. I mean, it is a slasher movie after all, and there's a mode that doesn't require any input called Movie Mode, where you can just choose the outcome before you even start the game. You don't even have to play the game the first time to watch it. Though this is a game where your choices matter, at least enough choices that you'll be able to potentially replay it if you want to. Everything appears to be very well done with great acting so far, and one thing I always forget to mention on these games is that you can play this in multiplayer, at least local multiplayer this time, or just watch someone else play it, of course. Though this is more intended to be a movie with minimal interactions than a game with a movie presentation. Pick this up if you like slasher movies, horror movies, supermassive games, or just want a unique story-driven experience. There are a lot of intense moments with this title, and there hasn't been too much pure terror yet, to the point that I'm honestly going to be playing through this one, and I don't play any horror titles. Maybe a bad sign for the game, but good for me, though who knows what will happen after a little bit more time. Metal Hellsinger, Rocking the Devil's House. Metal Hellsinger is an FPS and a rhythm game. Players will want to try to shoot, reload, and dash on the beat to build their combo and enhance their damage. Doing all of this will help build up Fury, and it's all a fast-paced arena shooter only enhanced by the music. With layered musical tracks, each tier of the Fury brings more of the musical accompaniment, and that pushes the players to master the mechanics. I might even say this has better music than Doom, and that's quite a high bar. That being said, if you don't have rhythm, this is going to be frustratingly hard. In addition, I think the best parts of this game is the music, and when I challenged myself at higher difficulties back when I was playing this on Game Pass, it meant the music wasn't as good due to that music layering. However, playing on easy might not be acceptable for other people, but it's what I'd recommend for novices. Also, while this game looks great, the bosses are all the same design, though a different moveset, which was a little bit disappointing. Pick this up if you like FPSs and heavy metal. If you enjoyed BPS, this is of course perfect for you, but even if you didn't like that title, I know I didn't, this one may still surprise you. That being said, if you don't like this type of music, this is an instant pass.
Over here.
Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes, a gory horror game. I told you we'd be talking about this. House of Ashes is what Dark Pictures Anthology has been known for, a horror-style game with a strong story, interesting characters, and complicated relationships between all of them. Player choice affects how each character will act in the future, and players will also be able to explore the environment as part of the story. The writing is good, like much of the series, and the concept is interesting, especially with the main game being about soldiers trying to capture WMDs after the fall of Saddam Hussein 20 years ago in Baghdad. Yeah, that's 20 years ago. Damn. However, House of Ashes does feel a little weak when it comes to some of the graphics and animations. I noticed at least one character has this elongated giraffe neck that I can't stop noticing. A few animations have characters looking off in a strange direction that should have an establishing shot before it because they're actually looking at people you just don't know is there. And there's actually a cinematic style in the first section of the game which I am displaying here with the horror that seems forgotten in the next section, and I really hope it's only that section of the game that's a little weak. Pick this up if you like monster movies, horror, well, supermassive games, or want a story-driven experience. Of course, this is very similar to the Quarry as well, and all the previous Dark Pictures anthology games, such as Man of Medea and Little Hope. Now, if you haven't played any of those, I think it might be worth checking them out first. Of course, you get the Quarry in this bundle, so that's an easy choice. Rebel Inc Escalation, a board game about stabilizing a country. Rebel Inc is from the same studio that did Plague Inc, but uses similar mechanics, this time to find a completely different concept. This time around you're trying to stabilize a country, forced to buy improvements, fight against insurgents, and avoid losing public reputation. It's a lot of different mechanics that meld well together. It's more strategic planning though than direct actions, though Rebel Inc does have players controlling armies while fighting insurgents, which is an active role, even if it's a little weird. That being said, I'm not fully sold on this game yet. Now, I won one game and I lost another, but feels more about knowing the order to buy things in than anything. The combat is quite interesting, but can also be frustrating as you need to herd the enemy into killing zones, and they flee if given opportunities. Plus, if they get out of control, you pretty much will lose the game. However, since they are the big danger, it does feel great when you finally beat them, and the board will basically flip to success at that point. Pick this up if you like board games or Plague Inc's Evolution style upgrades. I think this might be a little bit of a step back, but it's still entertaining and far more active than I was expecting. There's a decent number of maps and many different variants to choose from, depending on what loadout you choose, as well as tracking how you've done with each leader in each stage, so completionists will definitely have a lot to do. Spirit of the Island, a Stardew Valley Animal Crossing hybrid with more story, possibly. Spirit of the Island starts with the player shipwrecked on an island, but quickly turns into a resource management game. This starts like a survival game talking about water, food, and sleep, but all of those are so plentiful. Heck, you can just make water bottles and carry it anywhere. It's more like a game of Stardew Valley with a few more complications. However, the graphics differentiate this title from others, but once the player starts talking to the elder of a nearby town, Spirit of the Island's differences become more apparent. With multiple islands to visit and a story at the core of the game, and a more lively and well-defined town, it's pretty obvious that even though it takes inspiration from a lot of games, this is a unique take on the cozy game genre. On the other hand, you've done most of this before. Chop down trees, grow food, collect resources, do quests, and build relationships. While the story does seem to be worth it, this feels like a game that I've seen so many times before, and truthfully I haven't seen enough of the story to see if it's going to be a major part of it, or if it's just the game hand-waving at 3 islands and saying, go after those pirates. Pick this up if you need a new cozy game. This isn't a bad choice and would be enjoyable, but I already have like 8 of these life simulators that I could play, so this one feels like it's going to go on top of a stack of games I might not play. Still, if this is your genre, this is a pretty solid title. Lords and Villeins with an E. Become a lord with the worst possible vassals possible. Lords and Villeins has the player acting like a leader who can divide up a kingdom, create houses, parcel out lands, and decide what's going on. You build your town by designing zones, filling them with blueprints, and then giving the households the materials to construct those blueprints. There's a lot of levels here, and this first one just took me an entire hour. However, after that first hour, I would have put this game down no matter what. None of the NPCs seem to have a single thought in their head. You have to give them materials for everything. You can't just have them pulled from the big warehouse you own. Instead, you're expected to grant or gift them items, potentially selling goods, but I've heard that might be broken, could be fixed by now, so that they can build the blueprints you've demanded. I get that this might be an attempt to replicate how the Lord Fiefdom system works and why it was a bad thing, but this is all just micromanagement with very little payback. Perhaps later there's a way to automate this, but it really should have been taught in that first mission, because without that, this game is quite annoying. Don't pick this one up. I know there's a strong community out there, but there's a strong community for, a lot of games. This one reminds me a lot of Amazing Cultivation Simulator, or what I've heard RimWorld is like, but also done in such a way that I get more frustrated than feeling I have agency here. Also, a lot of this hour was spent speeding up time because things seem to take entirely too long.
Rats take heed and bring an apple in our hour of need.
A Juggler's Tale. Seriously, stop rhyming.
The
A Juggler's Tale tells the story of a girl who escapes from the circus, though it's not really clear why she was locked into a cage to start with, or what's going on other than an attempt to get a limbo or inside style game. In the story, the girl is a puppet on a stage play, but also that's part of the gameplay as the wires get caught on things above her. It's a strange idea, but a unique one that does make for a couple of interesting puzzles. There's one big issue. The writing in this game is bad, like horribly bad. The narrator just rhymes everything, and they're not even good, interesting, or clever rhymes, but it's just incessant to the point where I muted the narrator, even keeping the subtitles. Also, there's not much else to stand out, and the puzzles are what you would expect from an Inside or a Limbo style game. Not much more than that, sadly. Pick this up if you want, well, ultimately an average game. This is a title that I don't really hate and I don't really like. It's okay, but I wanted so much more, something interesting. It takes about 2 hours to beat according to what I've heard, but the narrator makes it hard for me to just recommend it. Even then though, nothing tells me to warn people away from buying it, if that makes sense at all. It's just, well, average. Mr. Prepper, preparing to escape a dystopian future. Mr. Prepper is about a prepper named Prepper. Yeah, whatever. Even though that's who he is, rather than preparing for an apocalypse as one would expect, he's instead trying to escape a version of America with some, hopefully dated references, even though that's not a big part of the game. That being said, the main game is mostly about resource and time management, trying to build out your bunker and gathering resources for your escape plan while avoiding inspections from the government itself. Mr. Prepper, though, is a bit of a mixed bag. It's mostly a version of almost a life simulator where players have to grow food, maintain the residence, and explore, but there's also combat against enemies and more of a story or quest-based system here than just plain survival. As a concept, though, it's more interesting than I was expecting, but that preparation bar at the top of the screen so far isn't really clear what the player needs to do to stay prepped, whatever that really means. Pick this up if you want a life simulator. It's an interesting concept, though some of the execution can be a bit clunky. The idea that you're hiding in your basement while heavily building it out can lead to some interesting ideas, I bet. Not sure if there's really much more to the story, but it seems like there's quite a bit players are going to have to discover, though I will say there is minimal hints when you're trying to find a specific resource or material. And that's the titles for this month. But like usual, I like to take a peek at is there any deal, and the fact is this month there is. Both headliners, the Quarry and Metal Hellsinger, have never been cheaper than $12 for the bundle. Mr. Prepper is shockingly hovering about $10, and everyone else is a bit under. But I also want to mention that the Spirit of the Island game and Juggler's Tale have been bundled before. I've kind of hand-waved this away before when it's fanatical, but this time it's by Humble themselves. Spirit of the Island was in the Fighting Farmers bundle from 7 months ago, and Juggler's Tale from over a year ago. Well, there's a good amount of time since then. Realize that also means they went for cheap once before, and I usually expect prices to go down over time, so it's probably not worth as much. I do want to go back to the headliners once again and mention we have 2 horror narratives from Supermassive Games as well as Metal Hellsinger. Now I don't know, but that feels like there's a bit of a Halloween theme going on this month. Maybe it's a coincidence, but it's a nice touch. Not everyone's going to want horror games, so there is some stuff for everyone else, but I like the idea of a spookier month this time of the year, even though it's not exactly for me. Hey guys, I'm in the middle of the edit, but I wanted to quickly tell you that Stealthy Sharon mentions that you can't get House of Ashes in Japan. Apparently you get Dead Age 2. I don't know much about this, I just found out about it, but I figured I'd just put a piece in here too. He's a great reviewer, check his video out. I'll actually link it at the end as a thank you. Now you know. With that said, let's talk about the tier list. 4 tiers like usual, and remember this is not a discussion of the value that you would get them for, more how strongly would I recommend it. We have the games worth the full bundle price, strong contenders, average titles, and misses. Normally we skip that last one, but this month, let's just get this over with. Lords and Villains. I'm not a fan. I struggle to recommend this to anyone. Like I said, I'm sure some people may enjoy it, but there's no way I'm going to be suggesting this title to anyone. It's not broken, it's just not very good, and I respect your time more than this. That being said, we have 4 games in the average tier as well, starting with A Juggler's Tale. This is the perfect meaning of the word average. It's not bad, not good, not really worth talking much more about. Next up, we have Mr. Prepper. It's an interesting concept, and I could grow to love it, but I don't know if I'm going to be returning to it, or if I'm looking forward to checking it out. Digging out your basement isn't that new, but the concept is at least somewhat unique at first, and definitely has potential. Following that one, we have Spirit of the Island. This could be higher for the right person, of course, but honestly, like I said, I have so many of these types of games that I'm not sure there's a need for this one specifically, but at the same time, it'd probably be fun for someone who wants a new farm sim. Our final average game is Rebel Inc Escalation. This could be worth it for the right type of person as well. There's a lot of content and gameplay here, but that type of person needs to be looking more for a board game than a video game in my opinion. Could be fun though. And this is what we're looking at after half the tiers, but we still have 3 titles left. Let's do it. The strong contender of this month is House of Ashes. I'm really interested in this title, but honestly there's something above it, and that's probably what you should be picking up this entire choice for. Still, this is an interesting game, and if you played through the series so far, you probably know you'll enjoy this title just as much. And that's how we look with only 2 games left. This brings us to the final tier, and I've thought quite a bit about this. The bottom of the full bundle tier is Metal Hellsinger. This is an excellent game. I rocked out for the entire hour, and I'll probably be back this weekend to tackle so much more of it. The music and the style are excellent, and if you like this, well, you'll probably love it. Such an exciting game. Which brings us to the best of the month, and it's The Quarry, the big slasher movie that's, of course, a big slasher movie, but it really is so effective at everything it tries to do. I mean, I really wanted to show a longer segment of it so people could really see how well it's shot and scripted. Still, this is the one that I am absolutely 100% going to be playing this weekend. I just have to know what's going to happen next in it, and the first hour ends on this amazing cliffhanger that I just gotta know more. So this is how the tier list looks after all these titles. It's a worthy list just for those top titles, but I also get why people might pass on this month. I love narratives, not everyone does. And I do want to call out one other bundle for the Humble Choice fans, the awesome indie games bundle from Humble. Maybe they're overselling that title a bit, but I know I wanted Dodgeball Academia for the longest time, and I've been waiting for it in the choice. Archvale, Flynn, Eichenfell, Ring of Pain, and Void Bastards are all worth a look. The rest aren't bad either, and with most of these appearing in the Humble Game Collection previously, I doubt we're really going to see them in a choice ever, so if you're excited about these titles, honestly I think it's a good chance to pick them up. Now, I did mention I worked on a side project this last month. I'm itching to announce and talk about it more, but I just can't yet. I'll give you a hint. I may be dropping a video about a retro game this month. You definitely should check that out. The best way to make sure you see that video is to remember to ring the bell here, and if you just want to see these videos, well, you still should. I only put out 1 extra video a month, so hopefully that won't bother you too much. Like, comment, and share this if you want to help me out. Thank you if you do. See you next time.